Mr. Jose Mota joining us today. One of the great baseball ball knowers in the game. This guy does it all. You hear him on the radio broadcast. You hear him doing sideline reporting. He's on Roku, Spanish or English. He used to pitch, used to hit. This guy's like the Shohei Ohtani of Dodgers analyst right now. Jose, thank you so much for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live.
Dougie, always a pleasure, but the comparison with Ohtani goes way high, but I'll take it. I'm correct. I'm wearing my Ohtani Canada shirt, which,
That's a fire t-shirt. I saw the silhouette right away. You love that.
Yeah. Oh, gotta love it, man. Ohtani Canada, big club over in Canada. Started when he was with the Angels and getting bigger and bigger, of course, because he is in blue.
Absolutely. By the way, also you do commercials. We have a comment that says they love your car commercials. So
three languages. We're doing 3 languages.
3 languages. The trifecta right there. There's nothing that this man can't do. There's nothing that Shohei Ohtani can't do. So we might as well just start there, because pretty much the only thing hotter than Los Angeles right now is a player playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers in Shohei Ohtani. You saw the seats. People were saying they were empty. I had Dodgers fans saying that the Golden Glove bar was packed and everyone was watching the game in there, but still Shohei Ohtani went deep once again. He's now on pace for 52 home runs, 52 stolen bases. There's a 68% chance right now that he hits 50-50, so 46 and 46. Just, your call was amazing. I love the sayonara on the call. But first, Jose, where the heck did that ball land?
Where nobody expected it. That's pretty much all I can say. Where, you got to enjoy your hot dog and doing a drink. It's a hot day, and before you know it, oh, there's a baseball. Who hit it? Who else?
I mean, the facade. I mean, some people were saying it hit the World Series commemorative sign right there. It's like, did they hit it so hard it just vaporized? But I mean, just one thing I want to ask you is, down the stretch here, you've seen this guy do things that we've never seen before, as far as adding the stolen base, still hitting with power. But what gives you confidence that we're going to see this version of Shohei Ohtani in the postseason? Because I'm already hearing people out there saying he's never played in the postseason. Is he ready for the bright lights? I'm saying, have you seen him in the WBC? There's no one that's built for this like Shohei.
A couple of things that give me confidence that he's going to continue to play at this pace. Number one is the fact that he doesn't have to carry a team, which plays a huge role in a guy's psyche and mentality. Number two is his ability, man. I mean, you play in October to shine. You play in October because there's a lot of lights on you, and he's done it before. He did it in Hokkaido. He won in Hokkaido too before he ever won in the World Baseball Classic. And then number 3 is the World Baseball Classic. I mean, every eye, every ear globally is on Shohei Ohtani. What is he going to do? Is he going to play? Day one, he says, I am going to play. And then the way he acted with the fans, carrying the load of an entire country. Stephen Nelson and I just were in awe the entire time we're broadcasting the games in Tokyo, because it seems like he was just enjoying every single moment. Now, the weight of a country or the weight of a Dodger nation, I think it carries a lot to say that he's comfortable doing either, but I really, truly believe that because of everybody that he's surrounded by and the fact that he's playing for something means a lot. And the fact that Shohei's a guy that, even talking to his father years and years ago, in going back to high school days, he thrives on people trying to be better as a team than his team, and that pretty much brings out the best. And hopefully we will see that, and hopefully we will see a Shohei that does not try to carry the load by himself.
And you were with Shohei in his time in Anaheim, and unfortunately for him, that team did not have a lot of success. They never finished with a winning record, and this is the first time he's really been playing meaningful baseball in late August, deep into September. How much do you think he's thriving because of that, and do you think there's anything different from him just because of these circumstances?
It is different, because when you are counting the days for the season to be over and your team is struggling, it is heavy. I mean, there's a lot of teams going through that right now. The Angels going through that again. Shohei went through that a lot of times, obviously, with the Angels. Every single year is with them. But there's something to be said about how much you're fed and your energy. You forget about the tiredness. You forget about what's coming up. You forget about extra BP or whatever you need to get your swing right. You think about competition and maximizing everything that you can, from your throws as a position player and as a pitcher to your at-bats and the pitches that you see. And that's why it is so important to have a mentality that he understands and he's put in play for so many years, Doug, and taking it one day, one pitch, and go from there. Don't try to see the big map or the big picture. It's all about now. And feeding off guys like Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Will Smith, these guys have been there before. I mean, certainly Mookie Betts has been there multiple times, and it only allows Shohei to go and look around the room and say, well, we're in this unit together, and amount of games doesn't matter. how hot it is, it doesn't matter. We got to go out there and know that we are targets. You've been targets for a long time since day one because the expectations have been so high with or without Shohei.
Yeah, and we had Matt Kemp in 2011. We had Belly in 2019, early Mookie. Guys where if you're going past the TV, if you're at Dodger Stadium, you better be in your seat when those guys are in the box. You never know when it's going to happen for Shohei. Something special is going to happen, whether it be stolen bases, a triple, which I still think is the most exciting play in baseball, a moonshot by Shohei. But when you look at this individual accomplishment, the 50-50, something that's never been done before, I asked him a couple weeks ago about getting to 50-50, and he told me, hey, if I get to 50-50, it just means that I'm helping the team more. More home runs help the team. More stolen bases help the team. Any examples of how Shohei Ohtani really is team first despite these great individual accomplishments?
Well, you look at the things that he does for the team. Is he running every chance he gets? No, he's not running. He's running in smart situations. Is he trying to steal third every time? No. He is understanding that there's a game to be played. In their culture, there is so much respect to how you play the game that has transferred into the way he plays the game here that's not going to change. Now, the challenge is that he knows that he is the target for so many people, and he got the bullseye. Hey, stop the run. Now, make sure moves with Shohei Ohtani was at the first base. Make sure you mix your looks to second base when he's at second base because he does get very good jumps. And the mound, execute your pitches as best you can because we know Shohei sometimes it gets into his swing mode and a swing without the ball even being around the plate. But when he tones it down, Doug, I think we all know it's a thing of beauty because no bat in big baseball explodes the way he does. Maybe Aaron Judge sound, but there's very few guys that have the impact that he's had. And then feeding off this whole environment. Remember, Shohei Ohtani played 3 games last September. He had the side issue, couldn't play anymore. He tried and he came out of BP in pain and that was painful to watch for me as a friend. But, man, this is so different as to how much every game means. And in a way, I'll tell you what, and I'm talking about this, is it's good that the Dodgers are actually not with this big 10, 12-game lead. And please don't take that wrong because Miggy Rojas talked about this. Freddie Freeman's talked about this. Mookie Betts, Will Smith. All these games mean so much. It's like playing a playoff game. And that just makes every player forget about the individual accomplishments.
Yeah, and you put it like that. Great to put things into perspective. Let's not forget, this is a rehabbing pitcher that's doing all of this. It's kind of wild when you think about that. As far as the MVP vote goes, I saw this morning people are talking about West Coast bias. Never heard about West Coast bias about Shohei Ohtani. Wow. And talking about Francisco Lindor. He's had an incredible season. The shortstop position, the premium position. But let's not act like pitchers haven't won the MVP in the past. Let's not act like Shohei Ohtani's impact on this team, considering that Mookie missed significant time, Freddie missed time, and they have the best record in baseball. Do you think he's the clear-cut slam dunk? There's no question about it. He should run away with the MVP award?
He should win the MVP because all the reasons that you mentioned. I'm not sure it's going to be a runaway because obviously there's a lot of people on the East Coast that believe that Lindor should be a part of this. Marcelo Zuna also is going to get some votes, I believe. But, I mean, when you see this, and by the way, when's the last time we ever heard about a West Coast bias?
I was laughing.
Come on.
I mean, it's crazy.
What happens now is, you think about this. Go back to this. We're so inclined to watch baseball in the West. There's one reason only. His name is Shohei Ohtani. Enough said.
Exactly. And what I hate about these debates is you kind of have to really just say one player's not good. You have to talk down on them, disparaging stuff. But no, Francisco Lindor is an incredible shortstop. He's having a great year, but this is all-time stuff. We're going to be talking about Shohei's season in 2024 until the end of time. Now, as far as Shohei Ohtani goes, by the way, I'm already thinking about what's his next big accomplishment after this. Earlier this season, I had him hitting 50, becoming the Dodgers' all-time home run leader. Did not have him stealing 50 bases, I'll tell you that. So I'm not going to take credit for that. But I'm thinking, I was watching the first start at Angel Stadium, where he goes 6 1/3 innings of perfect baseball. Could it be a perfect game? Could he hit for the Triple Crown? I mean, just kind of fun stuff. I mean, what's the next incredible accomplishment I think we're going to see? I'm going to say perfect game. I'm going to say at least no hitter. I'm going to call perfect game for him at some point in his Dodgers career.
He can do that. I don't know if you've seen his bullpens, but he is not holding anything back in his bullpens. It's like, he's competing already right now. And by the way, let me tell you something else. That Dodgers fans have not seen Shohei Ohtani, the competitor on the mound. It is a totally different monster. Very demonstrative, very emotional. He'll pump his fist. he will pitch inside and get you off the plate, by the way. And if not, ask Mark Canha what happened in Oakland a
Yeah.
few years back when he hit him a couple of times. And he's not afraid to compete and say, hey, you know what? I want to throw that splitter, throw that slider in a certain spot. I need a little bit of the plate. Here's a fastball at 101, 102. Please get off the plate a little bit more. And he's going to get hit sometimes because he does throw a lot of strikes, even though his reputation when he came up for the big leagues was not of a strike thrower. He became a strike thrower by shortening his stride and sometimes even going, Doug, to a slide step with nobody on base. He'll go from the stretch. Obviously, he'll pitch from there like Yu Darvish does and so many Japanese pitchers do. But there's a side of him that when he's on the mound, he had a different animal out there. It's going to be fun to watch, and hopefully he thinks he'll continue to roll well. So he goes into spring training doing some special things and getting ready for a season. And when he takes them out, you just never know. He could beat you at 91 to 95, and then the next outing, he can go out there and be 98 to 101, nasty splitter. And there's days when he'll throw the splitter away and says, cutter, fastball, slider, I'm good to go. Let's go out there and compete.
And that's what's so exciting about this, that even if the Dodgers, or when the Dodgers go out there and win the World Series, you still have Shohei Ohtani pitching to look forward to next spring training. By the way, you're making me laugh because you're talking about that Mark Canha thing where he was throwing the fastball inside. I'll never forget that when the bases cleared on that and they're kind of jawing with each other and Shohei Ohtani just asking for a new ball, smiling. It really just shows you everything for Shohei. He's not going to get involved.
Okay, let's get going. It's like, okay, okay.
Awesome stuff. Now, speaking of pitching, Jack Flaherty was outstanding yesterday, and Jack Flaherty continues to be exactly what the Dodgers needed from as far as acquiring a pitcher at the deadline, someone that can go deep into games, someone that can pitch with runners on base. He's so poised, and so far a 2.61 ERA in 7 starts, 47 punch-outs, 10 walks, and 41 in the third innings. But has he been even better than you expected in LA?
Oh, way, way better. I mean, there's no doubt. We knew this guy was good, and he has been on the radar for the Dodgers for, a couple of years. But, man, he brings an edge that you can only learn by watching him pitch on a daily basis, by watching his workouts. It's 110 degrees the other day at Dodger Stadium. He's out there on that field doing his work and preparing for yesterday's start. Well, look at the weather yesterday. There's not a lot of guys that sustain that and that are not looking the bullpen in the 5th or 6th inning going, please, I need a little help out here. But he's so focused. His stuff, good. And he makes it better by the way he pitches. And here I'm explaining that. He has talked about how guys take pitches. I asked players on the opposing side, doing my homework, hey, the way you take a pitch, what does it say about you? Well, sometimes it says, I might take a pitch to fool the pitcher and make him think that I was full on the take, just to see if he repeats it. Well, Jack Flaherty reads things like that, like Clayton Kershaw has done for so many years, and says, I'm going to repeat it again and again until I steal a strike, and then we're going to go out there and play the cat and mouse game, which pitch is coming, because he can beat you with 93, 94 up in the zone, thinking that it's going to be 97, 98 in your eyes and perception when it's not. But he is not a thrower. This guy's a pitcher. He inundates the zone. He floods the zone with quality strikes, and that's one thing. Strike one turns a hitter into a more defensive hitter, and then what he does is, because if you look at 0-1 contact, Doug, throughout baseball, watch everybody go look at this. 0-1 contact throughout baseball. Hitters hitting over 300. 0-1, yes, they are. But now what happens is, if you're 0-1, then your next pitch is just close enough or by that turns into an 0-2 because you're spreading the zone, or he takes it to a 1-on-1 where they reach out, then it's a different story. This guy knows how to pitch, and his stuff plays down well in the zone. He believer in pitching downstairs, inducing ground balls, and keeping his defense ready to work. Consider that even last night or yesterday, his strikeouts didn't come out until middle of the game. When he found it, though, he was able to spin and finish guys out, but he had his defense engaged because he's throwing a lot of quality strikes out of the zone.
Yeah, it almost feels like a throwback type of pitcher, right? I mean, it all starts with the fastball command, and even if he does miss the zone with the fastball, it almost feels like it's intentional. He knows exactly what he wants to do out there with every single pitch. I mean, opponents hitting 189 with runners in scoring position on him. I mean, I just think Jack Flaherty's been a fantastic fit, and I love the way he trusts his defense, allows that pitches to the pitch count low, and you're going more efficiently, and I think that he's a fantastic fit. The question is, where does he fit into the postseason rotation? Because Tyler Glass now, he's your clear-cut one. Yamamoto, we'll see him tomorrow. But, I mean, Jack Flaherty is someone who could be your number 1 or your number 3. It doesn't really matter, right?
I'm going to go with an open mentality about this, okay? I'm going to say that you have to prove to me that you are ready to be number 1 to go out there and beat a team right away, health-wise. And right now, Glass now has to answer that question for me and for a lot of people. if Jack Flaherty, not the name, I'd like to know who it is. The way he's pitching right now, he should be the one being considered. Number one, he's going to go out there and take the ball against anybody and stay to his standards. Number two is, you want to save some innings out of that bullpen? Flaherty, okay? And then the fact that he is going to be able to know that he's played through this before, significant games with the Cardinals back at a very early age, and know that his stuff, the way he works, is not going to fizzle out in October. And you need somebody to set a tone of, you know what, this really matters, and it bothers me if we have a bad inning. And no better than somebody like that, that's, even though he is not for many people a number one, I think you go up with an open mind and say, who's pitching better? Who deserves to have the momentum for us to carry into a game 5 or a game 7 eventually, right? And right now, to me, the answer is the guy taking the mound, who has been, better than advertised, because we know what kind of competitor he is. That's Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, I love that. It really just speaks to the depth that the rotation potentially has if everyone's healthy. And with Jack Flaherty, he does have game 1 stuff. He does have game 2 stuff. And I also think, too, his floor is really high, especially when you consider the fact that he was dealing with the back. We really see no signs of that affecting him on the mound. So really the blow-up innings, even if he gives up a couple runs, hey, you got a great offense. And if you go out there and pitch 6, 7 innings, potentially 2, 3-run ball, you give your team a really good chance to win. Now, as far as Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I could not be more excited to see him back on the mound tomorrow, going up against Shota Imanaga. That's going to be fantastic for all of our Japanese fans as well, that Japanese showdown. But what do you think are fair expectations for Yoshinobu Yamamoto in his return for the rest of the month and of the postseason?
Hopefully he'll be able to give you 4 innings, give you 4 solid innings. And it's one thing we got to be careful too, is if he's out there 4 innings and he's dominating and he's at 55, 60 pitches, how much do you want to push him to say, hey, maybe he does have 65 or 70. You got to be very careful with that. His body will tell you, the way the ball's coming out of his hand will tell you. But this first start, remember, now is between the white lines with big league team that he actually pitched pretty well against back in April in Chicago. He pitched all over a couple of bases loaded jams. We got to see how his stuff plays out too, because if there's a lot of effort in finding the zone and efforting to find velocity, hopefully it's not going to be the case. Maybe 50 is the limit, and he goes 3 plus. But in a perfect world, Doug, we would like to see 5 and 65, 5 and 70, 5 and 75, because that means that the way he keeps progressing coming from that injury, it's only a matter of building up more to know that, hey, he's a guy that perhaps could be slotted right into the top of the rotation in October. But I'll see how things play out. Keep an eye also on when guys are coming off the shoulder injury. If there's any pushing, if there's any variance in their delivery, the push needs to come from the legs and needs to stay on top of the baseball to make sure that everything flows right into where it needs to flow. And also how much usage he does on a splitter tomorrow would be very indicative.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, what is something you're looking for early on in some of these starts that tells you that, hey, he is okay, that shoulder is fine, and you can really count on him in the postseason?
I'm not going to look at that velocity. I don't want to see 97, 98 to be convinced of anything. Yeah. If he's a 93, 94, that's good enough for me, because he has enough to work with his stuff to locate. And then the answer that I need from him is, which pitch is he going to go to get early outs, which he can do with a ground ball, and how much he forces a strikeout. I hope that the strikeout does not become the primary purpose of showing people that he's ready, and he just goes out there and shows the world that he is a complete pitcher by pitching and not throwing.
Unbelievable. And I think you look at him, some people say, oh, he's a rookie. I see the 3-time Cy Moore winner. I see the guy who in game 6 of the Japan series had 14 strikeouts and threw 138 pitches to force a game 7. What kind of expectations should we have for him if everything's right in the postseason? Someone who's more like a rookie, or someone who has that big time, big game experience?
There's no rookie in this guy.
Yeah, love that.
Only by the standard of Major League Baseball, right? Which he's a rookie, but with the experience, with the innings, the stadium that he's playing in, the expectations, the pressure, the years that he's carried a team and a flag into postseason and into the Japan series just tells you that he knows exactly what the expectations are here, even though he hasn't lived it. But baseball is baseball, man. 50,000 in the stands, 45,000 in the stands, knowing that every single game counts, every single pitch counts. Those are things that you cannot teach, and it doesn't matter where you play and what the pressure is like. You know who you are because you've done it before. And that's the thing you remember the most. When you have that little voice in you that says, boy, I'm in different ballpark and different country, and they're yelling at me, and I'm an opposing team, a ballpark. You don't think about those things. You think about what got me through this before, what did I go to, and then let me go back to that pull and use that as a warehouse, as a storage room to go, I'm going to pull off of that to know that I need to go out there and just execute pitches. And I've done before in big scenarios too.
And we saw what he did on a big stage at Yankee Stadium. Yes, it wasn't the postseason, but I think that was a small taste of what we're going to see from Yamamoto. Yamamania is still happening in 2024. Now, as far as another injured player that is going to be a big X factor for this team, Teoscar Hernandez. Feels like the Dodgers dodged a bullet a couple of days ago. He gets a ball on his foot. Thankfully, it was a slider. It wasn't a fastball like he told us yesterday. But what have you seen from Teoscar before the game, just kind of working? I mean, what do you think his status is, and how confident are you that he's going to be able to come back and be who he was?
My biggest relief is the fact that Teoscar did the smart thing and they got him out of the game. Actually, I spoke with Matthew Boyd 2 days ago, and he felt so bad. I mean, he was like, I feel terrible that I hit this guy. He goes, I'm happy it was not a fastball. It was a breaking ball, but I still feel bad because he's a key piece, obviously, of that team out there. When that's when the guards are competing for something, and Boyd's place looking to keep that place in the rotation. That tells you how much big league players care about each other. But Teoscar, very encouraging. What I saw on the field, him working out, the strength, the jump, the push, and the quick exit off his first step. I think are key things that are encouraging to me. I think the weather helps a lot too. He's from the Dominican. He knows what the heat is like. It is so much better to go out there and try to recover from an injury when it's warm like this than when it's cold. And I know that Teoscar will do the smart thing and know and tell and communicate with his team and Dave Roberts and the rest of the medical staff if something's not right. Now, it is not his push leg. It is his landing foot. And in that case, sometimes, you know what, Doug? I've seen a lot of guys get hurt in the front foot and become better hitters because now there's a softer landing and your hands have to do all the work for you. And we know what happens when Teoscar is a very good hands hitter. Things do explode right through the zone.
And we're going to see him in full gear now, just like we see Shohei Ohtani with all the gear, all the protective gear. So I definitely am looking forward to seeing that version of Teoscar Hernandez. But outside of the big three, outside of Shohei and Ohtani and Freddie Freeman, would you say he is the most important bat for the Dodgers in the postseason? Or is it someone like a Will Smith or a Max Muncy?
I'm going to go Will Smith. Teoscar's going to do what he does. Muncy's going to do what he does. He's been there before too. But Will Smith, to me, what he showed back in 2020, playing in a very difficult scenario, neutral scenario, just tells me that there's way more in that tank than what we've seen. Hopefully, this last series and the better at bats are an indication of that. And the fact that now he doesn't have to feel like I'm batting fourth. We have no Mookie in there and no Freddie or no Muncy. I'm batting fourth all the time or third. He can go down and just fool people by hitting in the lower slot, knowing that the opportunities will be there no matter what. And then for Will, different path and even mentality than Teoscar. Will is a contact type of mentality with men in scoring position. That's why throughout his career, he's been so good. He can spoil a lot of good pitches and frustrate pitchers, which also helped guys coming behind him to go out there, maybe make productive outs and score some runs. But the Dodgers need Will Smith to be a solid Will Smith because that just makes it even more impossible for the guys on the other side.
Absolutely agree with you. And I think that he's a guy that's going to benefit from when the postseason comes along, everyone's batting average is 000, right? And he's not going to look at it at the scoreboard. He knows his postseason success. He's going to get, hopefully, the layoff of 4 days with the Dodgers winning the division, hopefully. So totally agree with you on that one. I think Teoscar Hernandez, as long as he's healthy, he's going to do what he does, man. This guy just rakes. That's what he does. But Jose, also want to talk to you about your experience on the call doing a game on Roku. Dodgers fans that didn't have Roku, they were scrambling. Thankfully, we all found a way to get it. Unfortunately, it was a great game for the boys in blue. Robleski, he tied the record for 10 earned runs given up. But still, talk about that experience. And one of the great things about it was because of the score, you got a chance to tell some really cool stories.
Oh, it was great, man. We had Aldo Perdomo, mic'd up at shortstop. And I am one that I don't like to bother players with a microphone when they're playing, but I was like, you know what? We got to go out there and maximize this and just take the fans on the mentality of a fielder. What is he thinking right now? And Geraldo and I have had a very good relationship for many years since he was a young kid coming out of the Dominican. The scout this time was one of my best friends, Junior Noboa, back in the Dominican. So things like that are important to me that the fans get to know about. What double play depth that I was talking about with him. The one time he asked us, hey, can you guys hear the pitch count?
Yeah.
Because you know what happened with Kike Hernandez
Yeah.
one time. I'm like, no, but what will you do if I tell you that I can't? He never got to answer that. That's one of the things. Also, when you do a national game, which I've done for so many years, back since '97, when I started in broadcasting, it is a perspective of both ball clubs. And for a lot of fans, sometimes like, hey, you're not talking enough about my team or your team. Is more like, no, but I'm talking about baseball. I'm a baseball fan. I study teams. I look at standings. I look at different scenarios. I look at what's happening around the league, not just what's going on with my team, because I want to be more educated to relate that to the fan and to relate it to myself and be more informed, right? So that's why the national games to me are very attractive, because it forces you to do a little bit more research on the other side and around the league and what they're facing. Troy Lovello went to his office, 20 minutes. I got to talk to Brent Strom. I got to talk to Joe Mather. I got to talk to Damian Easley. I got to talk to Mike Fetter. So all those things that perhaps you don't get to do on a regular basis at a national game, now you're exposing things that being told by the opposing manager and coaches to the Dodger audience and vice versa. So it just what happens every single day, by the way, among them. And I think it's terrific when, thankfully, and I've been very blessed, I thank God, I've been put in a situation where at least I can go out there and explain those things, because I've been living those things in that clubhouse since I was 4 years old. And I understand what leaves and what doesn't leave a clubhouse. But I think the perspective is these are still human beings. They're still trying to outmanage each other, outplay each other. And now with technology like Roku and many other outlets, you're allowed to get more in depth about that. We actually had Miggy Rojas, we couldn't use it, mic'd up and going through his workout routine. And he's talking about that first game in Arizona. Remember the many scores and who's going to win this game, and ended up 10-9, right? And Miggy's talking about, man, I'm out there going, oh my God, I feel bad. Oh, I feel great. Oh, I feel bad. Then I feel great. And things like that really feed after what the fans expect nowadays with social media and the many more information value that we have to provide for them. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, give me all the
inside of me. I'm like, hey, Dodgers need to win.
Oh, no, I totally get it. And look, that's why I think that guys like you and Joe Davis do such an excellent job at doing this. Look, it's about growing the game. It's about learning about other players, other franchises. And I feel like when you know more about other teams' players and how they go about it, you have a better understanding of your team. And I think for Dodgers fans, you realize how good you have it, okay? Because let's be honest, lots of success here for Dodgers fans and a lot of talent here as well. But could not agree with you more. I think it's a great thing to see. One of my favorite mic'd up moments was Miguel Rojas when he fielded the plays like, I got to make this play, and he goes back to it. But then you got the Kike one against the Yankees where he doesn't make the play and things you just never know. That's what makes him so exciting. I mean, look, give me all the mic'd up. I think the first baseman of every single team should be mic'd up for every single broadcast. Would you sign up for that, Jose?
A lot of things are said at first base. That
you can bleep stuff out. Come on.
Yeah, you can bleep it out. I mean, there's times with managers like, did they hear that? Like, no, it's only the truck heard, and they know not allowed to use it. Umpires themselves are mic'd up, and it's not an issue. So there's a way of doing it in which you get to hear enough how much fun it is. The conversations that happen at first base about, hey, how was dinner today? Or, what are you going to do after the game? And things like that. And even first base coach coming over and say, hey, get away from this guy. I want to tell you something right now that I see in this picture. So all those things are just so much fun. I recall, remember 1974, the Dodgers World Series against the A's? Tom Minnesota's mic'd up as his third base coach. Go find that film, and you will have so much fun listening to Tom Lasorda talking about Joe Ferguson and Steve Garvey, and then talking to umpire Ron Luciano at third base. This conversation between these two Italians was marvelous. Go find that, and you're going to have a lot of fun. And that's what we're talking about, how it's grown since 1974 on film.
Priceless stuff. And Jose Mota, we thank you so much joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live. You're getting so much love down below in the comment section. Guys, go follow him if you don't already on the X, on Instagram. Listen to the Spanish broadcast, him and Pepe and Ninguez and Fernando Valenzuela. See him at the stadium. But Jose, it's getting real. End of the season's coming up. Postseason's near. We'll check in with you soon. But thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later, Jose.
Sayonara, matane.
There you go.